All right, so the theme of the entire WNBA offseason is uncertainty, right? There's not even a CBA in place. And then every player in the league is a free agent, not to mention that there's expansion drafts. So assuming all the, I's get dotted and the T's get crossed, there's still a big T in uncertainty. And that is going for Sophie Cunningham as well. When you think about the Indiana Fever, there's a core. There's Caitlin Clark. There's Aaliyah Boston. There's Kelsey Mitchell, who they said is the number one priority. Clark, Boston, under contract, locked up. They'll be back. Lexi Hull, restricted free agent. You would assume she'd be back. Michaela Timpson.
Everyone thinks they know the story of Sophie Cunningham's future with the Indiana Fever. But what actually happened is so much stranger than what you've been told. It starts with a casual podcast comment that sent shockwaves through the entire WNBA, revealing a desire for a bigger contract that changes everything for her team.
In the midst of it. But she said at her exit interview that she's, likes it there, but she's not dumb because she's blonde and is going to explore her options. And it seems, it's not a guarantee, as odd as it would be after this last season, that Sophie Cunningham will be back in an Indiana Fever uniform next year. Why would I say that right now? Well, some comments she made on her podcast, the Show Me Something podcast. Now, I don't know if she necessarily intended it this way, because they were talking about uncertainty as life as a professional athlete and her moving out of an apartment, and her co-host Wes Wilson had said, don't.
Sophie Cunningham just dropped an absolute bombshell on her own podcast, casually revealing her next team might not be the Indiana Fever. She's looking for a bigger contract to finally buy a house and settle down, a statement that ascended immediate shockwaves through the WNBA. The idea of the Fever's fan favorite, the fierce protector of Caitlin Clark, walking away from Indianapolis feels utterly unthinkable to many, but her words were clear, direct, and left no room for misinterpretation about her future intentions and significant financial aspirations. This wasn't just a passing comment. It was a declaration that as everyone's scrambling to understand what comes next, the entire WNBA offseason is swirling with unprecedented uncertainty, a chaotic storm of change affecting every single player.
Interpret for yourself how telling it is.
And I think the next team I play for, I want a bigger contract, so then I can buy a house and be homey and cozy.
Fuck yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy. That could be the Liberty. It could be New York City. It could also be the Lynx, and it could be Minneapolis. Like, you just don't know.
It could be anywhere.
So the next team I play for, and it could be anywhere. I don't know how far into the future she's thinking next team, but it is a telling comment, in my opinion, from Sophie Cunningham, that it's not a guarantee that she'll be back with the Indiana Fever. You go to what she said at her exit interview.
With no new collective bargaining agreement in place, and every single player in the league becoming a free agent, the landscape is shifting dramatically. Add to that the impending expansion drafts, and you have a perfect storm of unpredictability. This massive tide of uncertainty overshadowing everything applies directly to Sophie Cunningham's future. Even for a player who seems so cemented, the Indiana Fever boasts a seemingly unbreakable core. Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston, both securely under contract and locked in for the long haul. Kelsey Mitchell, deemed the #1 priority by the organization, is also expected to return. Lexi Hull, a restricted free agent, is a strong candidate for re-signing, and rookie Michaela Timpson is likely back on her initial contract. Beyond these foundational pieces, however, the roster is a blank slate, leaving a massive void for crucial role players. Sophie Cunningham felt like an indispensable part of the Fever's very fabric, a truly integral piece of their identity. Her fiery defense of Caitlin Clark, her seemingly perfect fit with the team, and her almost overnight rise to superstar status amidst the chaos made her departure unimaginable. Yet, at her exit interview, she made it explicitly clear. While she loved her time in Indiana, she's not dumb, and would absolutely be exploring all her options. This blunt honesty set the stage for the recent revelation. The true bombshell, however, detonated on her Show Me Something podcast.
Elimination. Now, as far as the contract goes, Sophie Cunningham is a very good basketball player, right? She can shoot the three. She can handle the ball a little bit. She can really fit in with any team. She can run the floor. She brings a certain intensity and competitive spirit to the court. So there's a lot of value in that. But her celebrity probably exceeds her slot on a roster as far as where she's evaluated. Meaning she's like an upper level role player as far as a basketball player, but a superstar as far as branding and all that stuff goes now, after she did the MMA thing with JC Sheldon and all that, and said,
While discussing the nomadic life of professional athletes and moving out of an apartment, Her co-host, Wes Wilson, quipped about investing in living spaces. Sophie then joked about investing in her previous space, only to be traded immediately after. This innocent conversation quickly morphed into a stunning aside, a stark moment of raw honesty that immediately grabbed headlines across the league. This was 2025, so Sophie made about $100,000, which, as you can see, the moment that sent shockwaves through the WNBA came next. Sophie declared, "The next team I play for, I want a bigger contract, so then I can buy a house and be homey and cozy." The room fell silent. This wasn't a hypothetical, it was a clear statement of intent, indicating she fully expects to be on a next team and is prioritizing long-term financial stability. It could be the Liberty in New York City, or even the Lynx, or countless other destinations. This candid comment from Cunningham is highly telling, signaling that her return to an Indiana Fever uniform next year is far from guaranteed. While her words didn't explicitly state she was leaving, the emphasis on a next team and a bigger contract paints a very clear picture of her mindset. The casual delivery masked a powerful message. Sophie Cunningham is actively planning for a future that may very well be outside of Indianapolis, pursuing significant financial opportunities. Her podcast declaration echoed her earlier exit interview sentiments, which now take on a much sharper edge.
As a basketball player, but a superstar as far as branding and all that stuff goes now, after she did the MMA thing with JC Sheldon and all that, and said, it's the ref's fault because they haven't stuck up for or haven't protected the superstar of the WNBA. And everybody loved that. And then all of a sudden it exploded. And that's what happens when you play on the Indiana Fever. Your chance of becoming a bigger crossover star is immense. I mean, it's right there in front of you. I think there was an article, or STN Digital had put out social ratings the other day, and the Fever, it was estimated, had...
Back then, when asked if she'd opt to stay in Indiana, she stated, "I love being here, and I don't think that's news to anybody." She spoke passionately about the Midwest, the camaraderie, and the unique bond forged through a tough season, a bond she'd never experienced in 7 years in the league. Of course, she wants to come back, but there's a crucial caveat. Despite her heartfelt affection for the Fever, Sophie also added, "I'm definitely going to be entertaining other teams, other offers." Her hope was to continue her great time in Indiana, but she was keenly aware of the new CBA's implications. "I might be blunt, but I can't just not look at other opportunities," she quipped, emphasizing her smart business acumen. This foresight, expressed immediately after the season, now clearly manifests in her recent podcast comments. Sophie Cunningham is undeniably a very good basketball player, possessing a valuable skill set that makes her an asset to any team. She can consistently shoot the three, handle the ball confidently, run the floor with purpose, and brings an unmatched intensity and competitive spirit to the court. These attributes alone make her a desirable free agent for many franchises looking to bolster their roster with a versatile, high-energy performer.
It's right there in front of you. I think there was an article, or STN Digital had put out social ratings the other day, and the Fever, it was estimated, had $55 million in social value. The next team up was the Lynx at $8.61 million. So that's that, right? Like, I'm sorry, the Wings at $8.61 million, and then the Aces and the Lynx. But and Sophie experienced that with the Fever. Now, as far as the contracts go, here's how the cap table looks for Indiana.
But here's where it gets really crazy. However, Sophie's celebrity status, especially after her meteoric rise this past season, probably exceeds her current evaluation as purely an upper-level role player. After her viral MMA-style defense of Caitlin Clark against JC Sheldon, and her impassioned comments about protecting the WNBA superstar, her brand exploded. This crossover appeal, amplified by playing on the Fever, transformed her into a huge social media presence, far beyond just her on-court contribution. Playing for the Indiana Fever undeniably supercharged Sophie's public profile. The Fever, it was estimated by STN Digital, commanded an astounding $55 million in social value last year, dwarfing the next closest team, the Wings, at $8.61 million. This unprecedented platform catapulted Sophie into the mainstream, landing her in an Arby's campaign, an appearance on Good Morning America, and a security endorsement, all stemming from her staunch defense of Clark. Currently, Sophie earns around $100,000, putting her in line with veteran Demarius Dantes, but only half of what Natasha Howard made. Given her production, impact, and skyrocketing celebrity, she is clearly due for a substantial raise. She shouldn't be earning just above a Sydney Colson, but she also likely won't command the Kelsey Mitchell-level salary. The sweet spot lies somewhere in between, with the length and security of the deal becoming critical factors in negotiation.
The contracts go, here's how the cap table looks for Indiana. This was 2025. So Sophie made about $100,000 which, as you can see, is the same as Demiris Dantas, but in line with, over a vet, Sydney Colson, but half of what Natasha Howard made. So she would be in line for a raise, I think, in production and what she brings to the table. She shouldn't be just above Sydney Colson, right? But she probably shouldn't be at where Kelsey Mitchell is, somewhere in that sweet spot in between. And then maybe the length of the deal comes into play. If you look at the Fever's cap table for 2020.
Looking ahead to the Fever's 2026 cap table reveals stark details. Only Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, and Makala Tinson are currently on the books. This financial flexibility, or lack thereof depending on how you view it, means the Fever will be actively shopping in a free agent market where the entire league is available. This complicates Sophie's situation immensely, as Indiana must weigh her value against a truly unprecedented pool of talent. Sophie Cunningham is no rookie when it comes to the business side of basketball. She's been around the block long enough to know that nothing is ever guaranteed in professional sports. Her past experience of being traded from the Mercury serves as a powerful reminder of the cold realities of the league. She understands that loyalty and affection, while important, often take a back seat to financial realities and team strategy in the competitive WNBA.